People don't die in Stranger Things by accident. They die to teach you the rules. From the very beginning, death in this show has never been random. It's been deliberate, symbolic, and carefully timed. Season by season, the rules have been tightening. Side characters first, then fan favorites, then characters who felt untouchable. And now we're at Season 5, the end of the story, where those rules stop being warnings and start becoming consequences. In this video, we'll break down every major death in Stranger Things. Not just what happened, but why it happened. And by the end, using patterns the show has followed for years, we'll answer the question no one wants to ask. Who is next in Season 5? Because once you understand how this show kills its characters, you can see the ending coming. Before Stranger Things became violent, it became unsettling. Season 1 doesn't announce death, it slips it into the story and waits to see if you notice. The first real death isn't a monster, it's a man making a sandwich. Benny helps a scared kid, doesn't ask questions, doesn't hesitate, and he's gone. No music, no warning, no meaning, at least not yet. That moment tells you something important without saying it out loud. This world doesn't reward decency, it just moves on. Barb doesn't die screaming, she dies confused, bleeding, alone, wondering why no one came back for her. And what makes Barb's death hurt isn't how it happens, it's what happens after. The party continues, school continues, life continues. Inside the show, she disappears. Outside the show, the audience doesn't forget. That imbalance becomes a quiet wound the series never fully heals. Barb is the first time Stranger Things lets you feel guilt for watching. Then the show plays a trick. A monster attacks. A cut to black. A man everyone hates, seemingly gone. But something feels off. No body, no pause, no grief. And that absence lingers. Because when Stranger Things wants you to feel a death, it makes you sit with it. This one doesn't ask you to sit, it asks you to wait. Season 2 changes the temperature. Bob is warm, optimistic, safe. He believes in happy endings, which is exactly why he doesn't get one. Bob doesn't die because he's careless. He dies because he stops running. He looks back. He smiles. He assumes the moment is over. It isn't. His death is slow enough to hurt and sudden enough to feel unfair. And for the first time, the show kills someone you truly thought would make it. Not a mistake, a message. From here on, Stranger Things stops playing nice. By Season 3, Stranger Things knows exactly what it's doing. It's no longer asking if you're attached, it's waiting to see how much. Billy spends 2 seasons being hard to love, violent, angry, uncomfortable to watch. Then Season 3 does something dangerous. It lets you understand him, not excuse him. You see the abuse, the loneliness, the kid underneath the cruelty. And right when the audience finally softens, the show takes him away. Billy doesn't die running, he stands still. He chooses to protect someone who once feared him, a choice he never made before. Not redeemed, but finished. Alexi's death is quiet, almost gentle. He just wanted a soda, a cartoon, a few normal minutes. No destiny, no grand arc. Just a life cut off mid-sentence. His death hurts because it's small, because it happens in the middle of laughter. Some people don't get heroic endings, they just disappear. Season 3 ends with a sacrifice. Hopper stands in the blast radius, looks at Joyce, nods, and the screen cuts away. For a while, the show lets you believe it, lets you mourn. But when Hopper returns, something changes. Not about him, about the audience. From this point on, Stranger Things understands something dangerous. It can survive lying to you once, which means when the real death comes, it won't blink. Season 4 doesn't ease back in. It starts with a body. Chrissy doesn't die fighting. She dies trapped inside her own mind. Bones breaking, eyes empty. Suddenly, death in Stranger Things isn't physical anymore. It's psychological. Chrissy, Fred, Patrick. Different faces, same pattern. People carrying guilt, people hiding shame. Vecna doesn't kill randomly. He waits, listens, learns. Then he makes sure the victim knows exactly why it's happening. These aren't battles, they're executions. Then there's Eddie, the one everyone expected to die, but not like this. Eddie spends his entire life running from blame, from fear, from himself. In the Upside Down, he finally stops. He doesn't win. He doesn't escape. He buys time. And for the first time, Eddie believes he's worth that sacrifice. That's what makes it devastating. Not the death, the realization. By the end of Season 4, something is clear without being spoken. Stranger Things is done teaching lessons. Now it's collecting debts. By the time a story reaches its final season, death stops being random. It becomes selective. Season 5 doesn't need to prove danger exists. It needs to decide who pays for it. And only a few names remain. Everything began with Will. Not the monsters, not the gates. Will. The Upside Down never fully let him go. Even now, something lingers. A connection, a pull. Final seasons love symmetry. If the story wants to close the circle completely, Will becomes impossible to ignore. Hopper has survived more than anyone should. Loss, failure, a life that keeps demanding sacrifice. He doesn't talk about the future, he acts in the present. Characters like Hopper aren't written to run, they're written to stand their ground. Nancy moves toward danger. She asks questions no one wants answered. She follows trails that lead somewhere dark, and she's already seen what's coming. Characters who know the future rarely escape it untouched. Jonathan is the quiet heart of the story, tied to Will, tied to Nancy, tied to the idea of a normal life after this ends. And that hope makes him vulnerable. Final seasons are cruel to characters who believe in after. Steve's name always comes up, not because he's weak, not because he's reckless, but because he's always there when things fall apart. Every conflict, every escape, that alone places him on the board. These characters aren't here by accident. They're central. They matter to someone else. And in final seasons, that's usually the most dangerous thing you can be. Season 5 is the final chapter, and finales don't play safe. In the Volume 2 trailer, one line hits different. You die, I die. No joke. No hero speech, just acceptance. That's not throwaway dialogue, that's preparation. Then there's that interview moment. The Duffer Brothers explain the ending using Funko Pop figures, moving characters like pieces on a board. And suddenly, they push Steve's figure off the desk. Everyone laughs, but the message lands. Small move, clear signal. Steve has survived everything Hawkins could throw at him. Monsters, governments, other dimensions. He's brave, loyal, protective. But in Hawkins, the rule is simple. The closer you are to the story, the higher the price. Steve is always on the front line, always saving others, always stepping in. In the Duffer's own toy analogy, he's a heavily played piece. And heavily played pieces can fall. Some survive, some break. Hawkins isn't gentle with its characters. And if Season 5 needs one death that changes everything, Steve Harrington makes too much sense. Comment who you think dies in Season 5. Subscribe for the breakdown after it happens. Because Hawkins never gives second chances.